And now, it's Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Grain.
Welcome back to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk. Second half kickoff brought to you by Global Scarves, producing soccer scarves for over 40 years. Get scarves for your local club, organization, or school at globalscarves.com. The show has scarves. Now you can too. globalscarves.com. Good evening. My name's Tyler Green, on Twitter at TylerGreenFC. Our next guest can be found on Twitter at expert_physio as we look at the injury report presented by Expert Physio and expertphysio.ca. David Sandals joining us now on the program. David, let's start with the Whitecaps news of the week, and that is Jada Merritt retiring from playing soccer, citing some injury concerns as one of those reasons. Now, he tore his Achilles tendon last year and said that the pressure of rehab and how fast he came back basically caused a little bit of injury to his ankle tendon, which tore this year. So how exactly has that worked? How did last year's injury affect this year's injury?
Well, first thing I'd like to say is what a shame, because we're losing a great player. I think someone who was really, I mean, when I've seen the game, the commitment this guy gives is just a joy to watch. So, and I think I don't think the rehab team would have given up on him at all. I think it sounds like it was a decision that he made. He's on a one-year contract, so to really get this better, I'm sure he was looking at the rest of the season. So I think that's probably why he made the decision he did. But you've got a couple of tendons on the outside of your ankle called the peroneal muscles, the peroneal tendons. One of them crosses over under the foot, and one of them sort of attaches to the lateral side of the foot. And what happens is they're heavily involved in holding the foot together, whilst the big muscle at the back, the gastroc, pushes you off. And one of the things Jay said after his injury, that he was having trouble pushing off on his big toe because the injury he had with the Achilles. It's not that it wasn't fully healed, but I guess just the way it healed, he couldn't get full power off that. So what happens is the other tendons, muscles in the back of the leg are trying to kind of do a little bit of the job of the big muscle. And now they're trying to do two things at once. They're trying to hold the foot together, so it's a nice stiff lever for you to push off of and push off at the same time. And he did say, although when we saw the injury happen, we all sort of looking at, how did he land? What happened when he landed? But he said he felt something give in the sort of back of his ankle when he pushed off. So I think it's a tendon it was just too much for it. I think if he'd been 28, 29, he probably would have had surgery and be looking at playing next season again. So I think it's a shame that it's happened when it has, and I know the rehab team do a great job there, and he's a big loss.
Now, we're speaking with David Sandals of Expert Physio, expertphysio.ca here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk. David, now it's a ton of preseason friendlies happening here with all the European clubs, a lot playing MLS sides right now. They're into their preseason. These players are obviously trying to get ready for that start of the season, which happens about mid-August. And what are those players doing to get ready for the season, and how can we relate, some of the bums out there, the amateurs that are trying to get ready for our fall seasons, how can we get ready for a season without getting injured?
Well, I think it's a lot about what the coaching staff and the training staff see. I think it's all about seeing who is fit, who's been working through the summer, who's maintained their fitness, and who's maybe put on a few pounds. And we certainly see it happening at all levels, even at the top pro level. So I think it's all about, at the high level, about evaluating the players, looking at how they look on the field, doing the screening that they do in terms of fitness evaluations, comparing that with how they performed previous seasons if they were on the club at the previous year, and also looking at what happened with injuries they may have had in the past, and seeing if that's having an effect at all, and setting the players up on individual programs where needed, but probably more than anything else at this point, the head coach is looking at getting the team together as a team. You're seeing a lot of team building activity, whether it be tours together in the United States or lesser clubs are touring closer to home, like Birmingham City went to Southern Ireland, not quite Los Angeles as Man United, but they all do these kind of things where they get the team together, and that's very, very important, because we've certainly seen in the past where there are a lot of very high-paid players who don't look like they're getting on at all.
David, we thank you for joining us here this week on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk. Next week, we're going to get really in depth into a lot of these, a lot of the medical things. We're going to talk about some of the new concussion guidelines for use, whether or not using anti-inflammatories in sports, and some new info, which I think players, especially amateur players everywhere, need to know whether to ice an injury or not. So we're going to talk all about that next week when we have a lot more time with you here. So thanks for joining us, and we'll talk about all those topics next week, of course. And, of course, if anybody else gets injured here with the Whitecaps,
we'll talk about that. Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks a lot. David Sandals joining us here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk. And, yeah, there a lot of interesting stuff there, obviously, with the concussion guidelines. And yeah, that's a huge one. He said basically there's some new info out on whether to ice an injury or not. And there's so many people. I've just playing in co-ed soccer this summer. Guys pull a muscle. Well, do you ice that, or do you put heat on it? What do you do? Well, now there's some new info, so we'll talk all about that with David Sandals next Saturday at 11 o'clock here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, right here on AM 650 Radio in Vancouver, am650radio.com. David Sandals is a physiotherapist at Expert Physio. If you care about your health, why not work with the experts? Convenient clinics in Burnaby Heights and at 8 Rinks. For more information on the services they provide, visit expertphysio.ca. Expert Physio can get you back to full health. They got me back to full health. I recommend them. Visit them today at expertphysio.ca. Get into Kia Vancouver for their No Bull sales event with 0% financing up to 84 months and up to $4,000 cash bonuses on select models. Now at Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, and KiaVancouver.com. The manager's rant is next.
Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTalk650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650.
Vancouver Street Soccer League is the beautiful game at its finest. Teams of men and women who are homeless, have recently been homeless, or are at risk for homelessness get together to train and play matches. It's great fun that builds skill and confidence, and the league sent players to 4 consecutive Homeless World Cups in Milan, Rio de Janeiro, Paris, Mexico City, and Poland. Find out more at VancouverStreetSoccer.com.
This message fueled by Dusso's Fresh Pasta and Sauce, proud to support community on and off the pitch.
It was true Italy. Every weekend, the Dusso family gathered to share laughter and plates of homemade pasta. So when the Dusso brothers came to Canada, rather than become homesick for the good times, they opened Dusso's on Granville Island. A generation later, the Dussos are still creating authentic, home-style Italian pasta and sauce from natural ingredients. Great carbs and quick, healthy meals. Official pasta of the Vancouver Canucks and Vancouver Whitecaps FC. Look for Dusso's Fresh Pasta and Sauce at your local grocery store. Visit Dussos, DUSOS.com.
The 2014 season of EA Sports BC Soccer Premier League. Welcome to the front lines of the game. Welcome to the big league. The one that provides an elevated level of competition for high-performance players within BC and contributes to player development for the Canadian national team and professional opportunities here and abroad. This is where you're going to see the top youth players in action. Catch some of the most intense soccer in the province. EA Sports BC Soccer Premier League. For information and upcoming games, check out bcsoccer.net.
Get into Kia Vancouver for their No Bull sales event with 0% financing up to 84 months and up to $4,000 cash bonuses on select models. Purchase any new Kia before July 31st and get their special Summer in the City package with free car washes for life, free airport shuttle and parking, a 4-piece travel set, and you're automatically entered to win a trip for 2 to Harrison Hot Springs in September. No Bull, now at Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon and KiaVancouver.com.
Sold in over 70 countries, Italy's signature white wine is Santa Margherita's Pinot Grigio. And here in Canada, it's the #1 selling 750ml bottle. Santa Margherita's Pinot Grigio is also the only wine sold in Canada to be Carbon Zero certified. This means the environmental impact of its production has been offset by investment in environmental initiatives. After all, exceptional wine can only be made in an exceptional setting. Outstanding quality, sustainable production. Santa Margherita Pinot Grigio. Available at BC liquor stores.
We're back. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on AM 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Gray.
With just one victory over their last 7 Major League Soccer matches, are the Vancouver Whitecaps in a slump? The stats might suggest that the Caps are a team on the downslope, which is dangerous considering that historically, Vancouver has been a poor second-half team. Over that 7-game stretch, Vancouver has managed 7 points of a possible 21. Hardly the type of streak that will get the team into the postseason. Now, some fans believe that the Caps are fine, and having only lost 2 matches through the 7-match span, and coming back to draw level in another is a positive. They also feel that the Whitecaps are tough to play against, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the fact is, Vancouver only lost 2 matches and drew 4 is a somewhat misleading positive. In 7-match stretch, the Caps have actually held a lead in 5 of those games, keeping the lead and winning just 1. In the other 4, Vancouver has ended up giving away the lead, translating to 3 draws and 1 defeat, meaning the Caps had been in a position to earn 12 points. Instead, they've gotten 3. Other concerning factors include Vancouver scoring just 7 goals in that same 7-match stretch while giving up 10 goals against. The Whitecaps are also having their worst point total through the first 19 MLS matches since their inaugural season in 2011, which everyone knows was, well, terrible. Those are not the type of numbers that are going to instill confidence in the fans. And if Vancouver has any playoff hopes and desires, they need to start claiming maximum points now. And they can't allow history to start repeating itself by having a poor second half like in previous years. Giving away points like they have is no longer an option, along with the need to start scoring on a more consistent basis is a must. Vancouver is in a slump, but fortunately for them, there are still 15 matches to go. They have time to escape, and it could start tomorrow against Dallas. A win takes them above Dallas, who are sitting second in the conference right now, and would also give them a game in hand. So there's opportunity, but right now Vancouver is in a slump, and they need to get out of it rather quickly.
Yes, they do. Because I think one win in the last 7 games is a statistic you just can't run away from. Fans might say, well, we're there and thereabouts, but again, we've talked about it before. It's about what you expect from this team, what you expect from this club. We're in it. They are in their 4th season in this league, and let's face it, you want them to win, you want them to succeed. You must demand they get 3 points tomorrow. If they're going to do anything in this league, they go win games like they have to. They're going to play tomorrow because they just simply cannot succeed and simply cannot have realistic ambitions of winning silverware if they can't. It's a big test for them tomorrow, and they must go out and show that they're worthy of matching up to it and taking what they need from it, which is 3 points.
Yeah, and it's even going to be tougher when you look at having a guy like Jaden Merritt as their captain, and he was a big part of being able to drive them, to motivate them, and now he's missing from that equation, and that's going to be another thing that the Whitecaps have to try to learn to advance from and to grow from, is having a new guy in charge and trying to get that player to show some leadership as well.
Yeah, that's going to be quite interesting. It will require the likes of a Jordan Harvey, David Osted, I think Andy O'Brien as well, and Pedro Morales, to just name about 3 or 4, to really step up now. And I think that's probably been one of the things that Carl Robinson has been having a chat with more of the senior players the last couple of days, is he's going to need to have them step up now going into this second half of the season, because that kind of leadership is going to be required. The young players, it's too much to ask them necessarily to be able to galvanize some real leadership qualities in the net. Maybe we will find of a younger player that they do have a leadership quality, and it gives them an opportunity to show that they can do that. But it does really call upon the more senior guys, or those that have been there for a while, to show that they can step up and at least take some of that responsibility on.
And who should be the Whitecaps' next captain? I said Gershon Kofi. There's a lot of voting for Pedro Morales. Simon Fudge said Andy O'Brien as one. You can weigh in on the Barber poll at Soccer Talk 650 at Tyler Green FC. Pitbull Boy BC saying, I would like the next captain to be Gershon Kofi because he's a leader. Turning the tides here. So I'm getting the Kofi vote.
Well, it's an interesting,
Okay, so I know you took Andy O'Brien, and
Yeah.
I agree with a lot of the things you said about Andy O'Brien, but my thinking is, if you're going to name somebody to be your captain and you're going to make it a long-term thing, for me, Andy O'Brien isn't that player. He's here for the rest of this year. Next year's up in the air. He could be back. He might not be back. Who knows? But if you're going to build a team around a young roster, around young up-and-coming players, then you need somebody who fits that mold and is going to grow with the club and has already grown with the club. And for me, that's a guy like Gershon Kofi. He has all the potential in the world, and we see him starting to realize that on occasion. He needs to get more consistent, and I think maybe giving him the captain's armband could just do that for him as well.
That's true, yeah. And I think could it see him raise his game a little bit more, be more vocal, and therefore knowing that he's wearing the armband, see from him a sense that he's going to be more consistent on the pitch. That might actually prove to be a very positive thing indeed. I'm quite surprised we haven't had any feedback on the potential of Russell Teibert being named captain amongst Whitecaps fans, because his contract extension, big part of all the reasons behind that is people were labeling him as being the next captain of this team. So it's interesting to me that he hasn't been a name that's been thrown in the hat even at this point.
Yeah, it is interesting there that he has yet to be mentioned, but perhaps somebody will weigh in at Soccer Talk 650, at Tyler Green FC, at Simon Fudge 74. Perhaps you think that Russell Teibert should be the next captain of the Vancouver Whitecaps. Let us know why if you do. Why should Pedro Morales? Why should any player be the next captain of the Whitecaps? Weigh in on the Barber poll. Brought to you by Barber & Co. Get the authentic straight razor shave or haircut, whatever you need for the big job interview, a wedding like I'm going to next week. So I gotta get the new haircut to look good for the wedding.
It's that time of year for the weddings, yeah.
Yeah, hit up barberandco.ca for the location nearest you, whether it's Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, Cambie and 18th. All you have to do, weigh in on the Barber poll. Who should be the next Whitecaps captain? Tweet us your thoughts. All right, quick timeout. We're going to preview the Vancouver Whitecaps and FC Dallas tilt at BC Place on Sunday afternoon when we return. We're also going to get head coach Carl Robinson's thoughts on the summer transfer window. We know they're now looking for a center back with Jada Merritt's retirement. What else are they looking for? Simon Fudge talked to Carl Robinson about that topic. We'll hear that interview in just a few minutes as well. Bob Lenarduzzi talks about what's next in that center back position. What is the Whitecaps looking for with that center back search? All that coming up next here on Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk.
This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650. Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC.
Whether playing soccer on this continent or football on every other, Umbro is the name worn by top players and teams worldwide. Those same uniforms are available for your team or club at Umbro.com. Umbro, proud to be the official supplier of Canada's men's and women's national teams, is celebrating 90 years of expertise in the game. If you want your club to play like the pros, dress them like the pros at Umbro.com. Umbro, the heart and soul of football.
Get into Kia Vancouver for their No Bull sales event with 0% financing up to 84 months and up to $4,000 cash bonuses on select models. Purchase any new Kia before July 31st and get their special Summer in the City package with free car washes for life, free airport shuttle and parking, a 4-piece travel set, and you're automatically entered to win a trip for 2 to Harrison Hot Springs in September. No Bull, now at Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon and KiaVancouver.com.
Not that your stylist at the salon isn't doing a good job, but man, you deserve the big red leather barber chair experience of Barber & Co. Here's how it works. Go to barberandco.ca. Book your appointment at one of the 4 barbershops in Gastown, Yaletown, the Financial District, or Cambie and 18th. You can just walk in, too, and get your hair cut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, or beard trim experience. A great wedding party idea, too. barberandco.ca.
Held high above the heads of soccer supporters everywhere, the soccer scarf is a world-class icon of support, and Global Scarves can turn it into a high-profit, high-visibility, high-spirited fundraising idea for your club, organization, or school. Global Scarves has been producing high-quality, UK-knitted soccer scarves for over 40 years. They offer low prices for fundraising groups with no sacrifice on quality. A welcome change from chocolate. Find out more about Global Scarves. Contact Brad at globalscarves.com or visit globalscarves.com.
It's your money with Fred Snyder.
There's all kinds of things, so you have to constantly ask yourself this question: what if? You have to protect yourself against risk. You just can't sit there and accept the risk. You have to try to mitigate the risk and protect yourself against it. That should be part of your financial plan.
Fred Snyder, Sunday mornings from 9 to 11 on All Time Favorites AM 650.
I got a call at work today. They said my fiancé had been in a car accident. He was hit head-on, and he's still in surgery.
To help just one car crash victim, up to 50 blood donors may be needed, yet only 4% of us give blood.
They aren't sure if they can save him.
If we stand together, we stand a better chance of saving a life. So let's all rally together and give blood. Call 1-888-2-DONATE to book an appointment today. Canadian Blood Services. It's in you to give.
This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
Get into Kia Vancouver for their No Bull sales event with 0% financing up to 84 months and up to $4,000 cash bonuses on select models. Now at Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon, KiaVancouver.com, and check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/SoccerTalkVan, for all the details on Kia Vancouver's selfie contest. It's pretty simple. All you have to do is just take a photo with your Kia with the hashtag Kia Vancouver, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can win some very cool prizes. Whitecaps tickets, autographed jersey, car detail package. Facebook.com/SoccerTalkVan for all the details. All right. It is time to talk some Caps. FC Dallas tomorrow at BC Place. Afternoon affair. The roof should be open.
I would expect it, yes. Absolutely.
It's going to be a hot one. Simon Fudge will be there.
I will.
He's going to be a hot fudge tomorrow at BC Place, but we'll get more of his hot fudge coming up at 11:45 tonight. One of the things that the Whitecaps need to do, Simon, is possibly sign someone this summer. There's opportunity to do so. There's the summer transfer windows open right now, whether that's a center back, whether that is somebody up front to score some goals. But you had the opportunity to speak with the head coach of the Vancouver Whitecaps, Carl Robinson, on the summer signing issue.
It's very busy, but whether it's for targets and things like that is another question. You know, we're always looking to be progressive, not just now for the summer transfer window, but also January and next summer as well. Because you know the thing you find with top players is they're very rarely out of contract, and then you have to try and broker a deal of maybe trying to get someone in on loan and that lot. So we're always looking. Does that mean we're going to sign anyone? No. Because I've got a very good group of young players here. Would I like to add to the group if I think it's beneficial and it's possible to do it? Then we're always looking at trying to do it.
You've said patience has been the biggest thing in terms of you, even back in the spring, especially after Kenny Miller left. You'd said very much the same thing, and that still remains the same, even though we're in a window at the moment.
Yeah, it is. It's I won't make a wrong decision, not just for me, but for the club as well. We've got to be correct with our decisions. I think the decisions to bring in Pedro and Matty Labra's two DPs have been the correct decisions, and they weren't made within a month. There was a bit of planning in that as well. So if we feel it's right to do it, then we'll certainly look at it. If we don't, or we don't think we've got the right mix or character, then we won't do it. And one thing I've managed to do here is try and instill a culture, and it's credit to these boys that they've managed to do that. But I won't put that at risk for a chance or information I don't know about a guy. So I need to make sure I do my homework, and the coaches do their homework, and we get references, and we go out and watch these players, and said if the time is right, then we'll look at it. If it's not, then we won't.
General question in terms of the way the summer transfer window works for you, is it more about looking at something you can do more in the future now? Has it tended to work more like that as opposed to...
Yes. I could go and bring in a 34-year-old now, one that's got a big name and that's out of contract. But is that going to help us in the short term? Yeah, it might do. It might cost us a lot of money, but it might help us in the short term. Is that going to help us in the long term? No, probably not. So that's what we've got to juggle up. We've got a young group, a young squad here, with a young manager who wants to develop and be successful, not just in the next 6 months, but also in the next 2, 3, 5 years. So I've got to make a decision. When I signed Pedro was based upon him being here 3, 4, 5 years, and that's the goal with him. And if I'm going to bring in a designated player, then that's going to be the case for the next one as well. It's not just going to be a quick fix for us. It's got to be a long-term plan, and I think the players understand that. I think the supporters understand that we're going in the right direction, and as long as we continue to do that and move forward, then hopefully I'll be doing my job.
Do you think, how have you seen your club and other MLS clubs use the last few summer windows? And it's more like a scouting phase than just trying to get players in the
Listen, there's not. This is the beauty of MLS. There's not a right way and wrong way of doing it. And if you sign a designated player in the summer transfer window and then he leaves the next year, then it's the wrong way to do it. If you sign a designated player in January and he leaves halfway through the year, that's not the right time to do it. At the end of the day, you've got to be correct on your designated players, because they're the big difference between being successful and not. So that's why I say I won't rush into bringing a designated player in if I don't feel the time is right or the player is right, because it will affect the group too much. There has been a lot of turnover in summer transfer windows at the club in the last 2 years, and whether it's worked or not is up for debate, and you guys will decide that. But I've got to make a decision based upon what I think is best for the group, and I will never put the group at risk rather for one individual.
So there he is, Carl Robinson, speaking about some potential summer signings, and you got the idea there that signing some sort of big name 34-year-old isn't in the plan. But Simon, after that conversation with him, after talking to him, where do you think Carl Robinson sits with what he's going to do? Is he going to bring in a player? What type of player do you think he's going to bring in, if any, through the summer transfer window?
What really came out of that for me was a sense that it's almost borderline paranoid that even if he brings in one player between now and August 8th, which is just inside 2 weeks, he's incredibly concerned about what new addition or new additions he brings in upsets the balance of his squad. He repeated it on a regular basis there in that conversation I had with him on Tuesday. And he's looking back at the history of what happened to the club 2 years ago or even last year when Martin Rennie made all these changes and it sort of upset the balance of the team and then they struggled in the second half. He wants to avoid that. He thinks very highly of the group that he's got, so that we understand. In terms of a player that he'll want to bring in, I'm thinking now it's going to be certainly a center back. I think he knows he's short in that position. But at the same time, no matter whom the player is or players are that are going to be coming between now and August 8th, he really does feel that he needs to be 100% sure that they are the right fit now and in the future.
He is Simon Fudge, Simon Fudge 74 on Twitter. My name's Tyler Green, Tyler Green FC on Twitter. And this is Bob Lenarduzzi, who Simon alluded to it. Center back is a position that the Whitecaps are looking for. They've lost Jada Merritt now as he's retired. Andy O'Brien is getting back from injury, but he has had some injury troubles here over the last couple of years and getting back into shape. How long is that going to take? Is a guy like Christian Dean ready? This is what Bob Lenarduzzi had to say when asked about the center back search.
We've been actively looking to bring in another center back long before Jay decided to retire. So there's probably a greater urgency to that now. But at the same time, I don't think what we want to do is just make a change for the sake of making a change. We have Carlisle, we have Johnny, we have Andy, we have Christian Dean. And ideally it would be nice to add an experienced central defender to that mix, but if we can't find the right guy, then we're not going to make a change just for the sake of making a change.
Are there a handful on the radar?
Probably less than a handful, and when you get to that point, the negotiation process can throw you curves along the way. So we're very keen to bring in a center back, but we need to factor in the amount that we can spend on that position and ensure that guy's going to come in and make a difference.
The cap room helps now.
Yes, it does, and we also have other opportunities in terms of freeing up cap space as well.
Are you actually negotiating now with any center backs? Have you had negotiations with?
We've never got down to the nitty gritty of the negotiation, but we've obviously inquired as to what it's going to cost, and now we'll look at the options available and determine what it is we can afford, and hope that we can confirm a center back before the close of the window.
There he is, Bob Lenarduzzi, talking about that center back search, and kind of along the same lines a little bit. We want to bring in that right piece, not just a guy for the sake of signing somebody. It has to be that right piece to not upset the balance again.
Yeah, because again, I think they're not just thinking this season, they're thinking beyond that as well. And you look at all the different pieces, you look at the way they've drafted and so forth, as well as the fact that they also are looking to try and get in their own USL Pro team to give themselves some reserve setup, which allows for their team to be able to develop players and whatnot. We talked about how the likes of a Christian Dean would have benefited immensely this season if he was able to play a lot of USL Pro soccer if he could. Of course, they've had some players out on loan at Charleston, so there's always this kind of two parallel approach that the club has always taken, and it's done so, I think, even before it was in MLS, and I think they're still trying to do it in that way. And I think with the window closing as they're going to try and do their very best to get someone in. If it doesn't work out and they don't feel it's right, well, then obviously they won't do that business. But I do wonder if they don't do any business between now and August 8th, if that will be a certain element of criticism that will come back on the club if things don't go well going forward here for the rest of 2014.
Well, Bob Lenarduzzi spoke about it, possibly somebody that could play in that center back position, but also could fill in a role a little bit on that right back side, and perhaps a guy who is available on a free transfer and is at a younger age, is 23, is a Canadian. Maybe Adam Straith is a guy that has some experience, obviously playing in Europe, has some experience with the national team, has trained with the Whitecaps as well. Maybe he is a guy that fits into that mold of somebody that can come in and step in and play a couple different roles here for the Whitecaps as well.
And he knows the club because basically his professional career, or at least his gateway to it, started here. He was an original member of the Whitecaps residency program. Thomas Niendorf brought him in 2007. That led to him going to an NRD Cup boost and trying to forge a career in Germany. So there'd be a lot of good fits with him all around. He's a BC kid, and we've talked about before about not seeing a lot of BC kids being playing at the high level. To have one come back here potentially, that would be very good. It'd be a good addition, but it adds depth. Is it the kind of center back that a lot of fans are looking for, like he can start now? Might be a bit of a work in progress a little bit because he's new to MLS, but nonetheless don't see that many disadvantages to an Adam Straith coming back.
It is a difficult question about what they need in that center back position. Is it a guy, you look at it one way of, okay, we want to move forward with Johnny Leverone and Carlisle Mitchell. Well, then how do you fit in another center back that is a starter? You want somebody to obviously pressure them, but do you want somebody that is going to be expecting to start? Because if those are your guys, you kind of want to go with them and let them play, let them get that partnership working extremely well, and get them continuing on in the future. So it is a tricky question here for the Whitecaps, and really all they know the answer. They're not letting anybody else know right now. You're listening to Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk here on AM 650 Radio. In Vancouver, the Whitecaps obviously possibly looking for some summer signings, whether that's a forward, whether that's a center back. They have some decisions to make. What they have to do, though, is win a game tomorrow against Dallas. And we'll get into that now, as Dallas is just a couple points ahead of the Vancouver Whitecaps right now. An opportunity for the Caps, Simon, to get, because they still have a game in hand, but an opportunity for them to win a game, jump ahead of them in the standings, back into the playoff picture, and you still have that game in hand. You still have that one game in hand. Well, now you can create a little bit of space between it. And the Whitecaps, if the Whitecaps win a game tomorrow, they are tied with Colorado and ahead of FC Dallas. So they have those opportunities to move up the standings and get back into that playoff position, and then stick in that playoff position. But it all starts with a win against Dallas.
Yeah, and getting to the 30-point mark as well. And it's incumbent that they get this victory tomorrow, because they've got to put some pressure on the likes of certainly an LA Galaxy, who've got a very difficult trip on Monday to go to play Seattle. So it's about trying to pull away from the logjam for me is what it's all about. And it's ironic. It may not be the Western Conference, but Toronto FC, they may be sitting comfortably in a playoff position, but they're in a bit of a logjam themselves. And having taken the lead today against Kansas City, let it go, drop points. And, they're probably going to be putting their fans through a hell of a roller coaster just trying to make the playoffs. And I don't envy being a TFC fan from their point of view. This could be quite similar, but it will be quite similar if we continue to see more inconsistent play from the Whitecaps. So it's incumbent upon them to sort of say, tomorrow is where we start to put together a run of form that is consistent, that is getting maximum points, and we start pulling away from this logjam, and we are going to put ourselves in a position to be in the postseason.
What do some of the Whitecaps have to think about Dallas? Well, Jordan Harvey talked about this competition that they're going to be playing in tomorrow against Dallas. This is what Jordan Harvey had to say about FC Dallas.
They have quick guys on wings. They've had that for a number of years. They've just kind of rotated different guys now. And then they have Blas Perez, who's a great finisher. So it's going to be a difficult test, but at home, I think we focus on ourselves, and I think we get 3 points.
There you go, Jordan Harvey talking about some key attributes that Dallas has, some speedy wingers, something that Vancouver also has, but some speedy wingers, and an interesting character there for FC Dallas as well, with some Canadian ties and potential. We were talking about some looks that if he hasn't, maybe Benito Floro should take a look at one player with Dallas.
Yeah, and that's Tesho Akindele. Interesting guy. Got himself drafted out in the Super Draft in January from the Colorado School of Mines. An incredible player. I never thought you could go in a reputable school program, the Colorado School of Mines. So it's either you get mining out of the equation, or you can play soccer.
I thought you
guess.
said mimes for a second. There was a mime school.
Yeah, but born in Calgary, even though he was raised in Colorado, and certainly when I saw the highlights of their game last weekend, he's a sizable kid and stuff. I think a little rough around the edges, but he could turn into being a really good one, especially as being a sort of a very mobile target guy. And I think, yes, certainly, I think Benito Floro's got to have an eye on him and see if he's got some potential for the national team.
Now, we don't know if Benito Floro has looked at him. Has he asked if he could play for the Canadian national team, and he's declined, what have you, but we'll hopefully maybe find out some of those answers tomorrow after the game if we get a chance to speak with him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Russell Teibert talking to the media earlier this week about that FC Dallas game and really the slump that the Whitecaps are in, and we talked about it, just one win through 7 matches. He says that the Whitecaps are not looking back.
I don't think we're looking that far back. We're not trying to make amends for really anything. We're doing what we do, and I think we're doing it well this season. Past games, we can't do anything about that. We can't change that. All we can do is look forward. We can prepare for this week's game. We're not trying to prepare for this week's game from what we did 2 weeks ago. We're trying to look at the team we're playing against, focus on our game plan for that specific team, focus on what we need to do, and hopefully that'll get us a result.
That's it. What challenges does Dallas give you guys this week?
Again, we can focus on other teams all we want, but at the end of the day, we need to focus on what we can do, our game plan, how we want to play. And if we do that, if we stick to our game plan, I think we will get results.
And he's a guy that we were talking about earlier. Does Russell Teibert get any possibility of being a captain of this Vancouver Whitecaps team? He does have that extension signed. He's one of those players that, how exactly does he fit onto this roster? Where exactly does he play on the field? He's versatile, but is he one of those guys that really has taken the bull by the horns and gotten that starting role? He had it for a while, doesn't have it right now. But Joel Prosser weighing in on Twitter saying, Teibert, Russ Robinson called it himself during the Voyageurs Cup. Yeah, it's a possibility, but is he going to be a guy that is a starter for this Vancouver Whitecaps team? Right now, he's not. He's one of those guys that's sort of in the mix. He's really, when he gets that opportunity, he needs to take himself to that next level in order to get that captain's role.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it depends on what Robinson's thinking. I mean, he did make a mention on Thursday about rotating the captain's armband this season or whatnot. The other thing is to keep in mind, because it's unlike a place like England where the captain's armband is incredibly important. Is it almost equally important to be the Vancouver Whitecaps captain? Is that a real big thing? So there, to the point where one person needs to be appointed, or is there an expectation that one person should be appointed? It's difficult to say, and I'm not so sure. I feel that Carl Robinson doesn't really want to pin himself down to that kind of policy. I think he wants to have the ability that he knows that there's 3 leaders in his team that he can rely on, and that he could put the captain's armband, and he's going to do the coin toss, and he'll be the player that will lead the team out in a game.
On Twitter, @StuckOnASofa weighing in saying none of the current roster is captain material by default. It goes to Pedro. No obvious choice. Teibert would seem the best option, that according to Mike McGuire. We'll wrap things up on the poll question with the final cut in just a few minutes. It's going to be a quick timeout, an injury timeout, shall we call it. But back in just a minute with the final cut and the segment everyone's waiting for. It's Hot Fudge.
Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC. This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650.
Get into Kia Vancouver for their No Bull sales event with 0% financing up to 84 months and up to $4,000 cash bonuses on select models. Purchase any new Kia before July 31st and get their special Summer in the City package with free car washes for life, free airport shuttle and parking, a 4-piece travel set, and you're automatically entered to win a trip for 2 to Harrison Hot Springs in September. No Bull, now at Kia Vancouver, Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon and KiaVancouver.com.
The Vancouver Street Soccer League isn't out to change the world. Just give the men and women in our homeless communities a chance to play soccer. Regardless of skill, everyone's included in practices and matches with teams from UBC, the Vancouver Police Department, the Vancouver Mayor's Office, and more. The focus is fun, but it builds skill and confidence, and that can change someone's world. Find out more at vancouverstreetsoccer.com.
This message fueled by Duso's fresh pasta and sauce. Proud to support community on and off the pitch.
Pain or injury slowing you down? Take it to the choice of many top athletes, Expert Physio. Serving the Lower Mainland for over 35 years, the team at Expert Physio is dedicated to individualized care with specialized services such as orthotics, acupuncture, IMS, plus dizziness, pelvic floor, and certified hand therapies. Over 300 physicians referred to Expert Physio last year, and 100% of patients surveyed said they'd choose Expert Physio again. You're in good hands with Expert Physio. Burnaby Heights or at 8 Rinks, expertphysio.ca.
Whether playing soccer on this continent or football on every other, Umbro is the name worn by top players and teams worldwide. Those same uniforms are available for your team or club at Umbro.com. Umbro, proud to be the official supplier of Canada's men's and women's national teams, is celebrating 90 years of expertise in the game. If you want your club to play like the pros, dress them like the pros at Umbro.com. Umbro, the heart and soul of football.
Freedom. Many take it for granted, but for someone suffering from addiction, the concept seems almost impossible. Thankfully, there is help. LDR Holistic Addiction Wellness Centers are one of Canada's leading addiction treatment providers. Their 2 Lower Mainland locations offer incredible staff dedicated to building a solid foundation for recovery. Learn more about addiction and treatment at holisticdrugrehab.org. And if you need someone to talk to further, don't hesitate to call 1-877-529-3293.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire!
Come and join the fun with me, Red Robinson, at the jukebox musical Red Rock Diner, now playing at the Granville Island stage. Get ready to rock and roll your way through Vancouver's 50s and 60s music scene. You'll enjoy some of my favorites, like Great Balls of Fire and Diana. I'd love to see you there. Tickets start from just $29 at artsclub.com. Red Rock Diner. That's artsclub.com.
Back. This is Kia Vancouver's Soccer Talk on AM 650. Now broadcasting from the Barber & Co. studios. Here's your host, Tyler Green.
If you missed our interview with Jada Merritt from earlier tonight, you can download the podcast at am650radio.com. Just go to the Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk show page. All the details on how to download the podcast, whether it's on iTunes or just one of the other feeds available to you. Right now, get into Kia Vancouver for their No Bull sales event with 0% financing up to 84 months and up to $4,000 cash bonuses on select models. Now at Kia Vancouver, 396 Southwest Marine Drive at Yukon and KiaVancouver.com.
Oh, baby. Hot fudge with Simon Fudge.
Well, this week it's going to be an explosive one. I would like everybody to take the opportunity. It started tonight, but there are going to be there's one on Wednesday and one next Saturday. Go to the Celebration of Light fireworks in and around English Bay and everywhere. It's very popular at this time of year in Vancouver, and always fun to take them in. It's usually a bit of a competition between various countries. So 2 more nights to go, one on Wednesday and one next Saturday. It obviously started this evening, the Celebration of Light.
All right. It was explosive, all right. Time for the final cut, brought to you by Barber & Co. on Twitter at Barber & Co. for full-service barbershops for your big haircut, hot shave, buzz cut, fade, and beard trim. Get the ultimate barbershop experience. 4 locations to serve you in Gastown, Yaletown, the financial district, or the new location at Cambie and 18th, barberandco.ca. Said it earlier, I'm going this week. Got to get the new lid. Got to look good for the big wedding next weekend. Got to look all fancy. And it's going to be hot. So I got to get the hair cut short because it's going to be way too hot for hair that's longer than like half an inch. Simon, you need to get that thing weed whacked a little bit too. I don't know.
Weed whacked is probably
go see
the
Martin
right
at barberandco.ca. All right, the final cut. We've had votes for just about a variety of players. Pedro Morales got some votes. Random James on Twitter just weighing in. How about Jordan Harvey? He, a lot of MLS experience. Pretty much plays every single game for the Vancouver Whitecaps. He'd be a guy that I think has a lot of experience and a lot to bring to the table. You said Andy O'Brien. But so far, during the Barber poll, only one man has garnered the most votes, and that is Gershon Kofi, and he is the leader of the pack.
Leader of the pack.
All right. For the crew here at Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk, executive producer Christina, contributor Simon Fudge. You can read him in goal.com and now in paper form as well, Simon.
That's right. We'll be contributing to the Vancouver Courier, yes.
Producer Greg the Hammer Ballack, who is just a few Twitter followers away from his big total. Greg, what's your Twitter handle?
It is at Greg Ballack ST, and you spell my name Balloch. Not to pimp out my own Twitter handle or anything.
But if you like your Blue Jays talk, Greg's your guy.
I'm a little all over the place. Some Vancouver Canadians, some Blue Jays, and a lot of hockey.
There you go. Special thanks to Thomas Rage and Fred Anco for their continued support of the program. My name's Tyler Green. Thank you for listening. Again, you can download the podcast at am650radio.com. We return next Saturday at 10 p.m. We're going to preview the All-Star Game and talk Major League Soccer, hoping to connect with Mark Abbott, president of Major League Soccer. That's next Saturday at 10, right here on AM650 Radio.
This is Kia Vancouver Soccer Talk on AM 650. Follow us on Twitter at Soccer Talk 650 and at Tyler Green FC.